Which way do I go?
Clint, you let me know when you're ready to roll. We've got 2 mics. You can say them on either side.
Wiley fishing.
Well, there's all 2 Okay, we ready to go, Clint? Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Georgia Tech interim head coach Brent Key. Coach, if you could start us off with some remarks before we take questions.
We had a disappointing loss on Saturday that, we don't feel like we played as good as we could possibly play against a really good football team. And we were able to come back in yesterday and really sit down with the team and get the game put behind us and learn from that game and be able to use that moving forward. No different than any of the last 4 weeks. And the thing that we've really got to focus on is understand that our response to this game, or our response to the past game, is going to be the number one thing that really dictates any type of success in the following game. And that's really the message you have to get home to these young men, is that it's about us. It's about what we do this week, and continuing to go one day at a time, one game at a time. And the only thing you can do about the past is learn from it and use it as something to help you in the future. And I told him, I said, yeah, everyone in the room should be pissed, and everyone's pissed for different reasons. People pissed that you lost a game. There's people pissed that they didn't play in the game. There's people pissed that they played in the game and didn't get the result that they wanted. At the end of the day, you want to walk in that room and everybody be pissed. And then, okay, let's recognize that and say, now we have these things that we have to get fixed today. Whether it's no different than having a wound or a sore. You got to get it fixed ASAP. And what's today? Tuesday. On Sunday, get it fixed, get it cleaned, and then be able to move on, to the next opponent. Because any of those open, wounds or things of being pissed off, they'll carry over. And like I said, how we handle the week and our response to what happened is going to be the thing that affects the outcome of the football game. And the thing we're really focused on from Sunday night to yesterday today is attention to detail, and in the little things, fixing the little things. And when you fix little things, they add up to being big things. And it's a small thing here, a small thing there. And demand that those things are fixed. Demand that those little things get fixed. And understand that it's not about the number of plays you run, or the number of calls, or the type of plays. It's about us being able to go out and execute those plays well. And that's the focus this week. It's not about the number of things we have in the game plan. It's not about the type of things we have in the game plan. It's about having things in the game plan, focusing on the little things that are going to allow us to go out and execute what's in the plan, right, to give ourselves the best opportunity when Saturday comes. And that's been the focus of the staff. That's been the focus of the players, and that'll be our focus moving forward to Saturday, playing Virginia Tech, whose records doesn't indicate really the team that they are. And you see a lot of similarities in the two teams. You do. You see a team that is a top, I think, at most every category in the country, top 50, top 40, top 50 defense in the country. They're fourth in the country in creating, what we call havoc plays, negative plays forced by the front. They're a 50% blitz team, 5-man zone pressure, where they're going to take the slant and angle the defensive line, bring 2 off the edge to create disruption. And that's why they're up in the country in those categories, as far as the disruption up front, for creating those negative plays, and not just negative plays, but zero to negative yardage plays. And then offensively, they got a new quarterback transfer from Marshall, started the last 2 years at Marshall, and they're trying to play efficient football on offense. They're not really turning the football over on offense. So they're doing a good job with some of those fundamental things, and they're working to play really good special teams. They got really good punt coverage unit. Their net punts around 39 yards. They're averaging, I think, 1.5 yards a punt return over the course of the season. So, and then we're playing on the road. So, it's a big challenge for us this week. But as I said to start, we've got to focus on ourselves and what we're doing these next really 4 days moving forward to the football game. So, with that,
looking
at the last few games, particularly without Jeff, the run blocking kind of has remained an issue with the offensive line and getting that push. I think pass pro has been a little bit better at times, but just what can you do there? Like, what are you seeing? Kind of what is the struggle with the getting running holes and lanes for your backs and being more effective in the run game?
Yeah, there's really two ways to create running lanes. You either move somebody vertically or you move them horizontally. And to move people vertically, sometimes it's not always the best matchup. So then some of the horizontal ways to do it, or with tempo, is kind of the next thing. And we had some of those where we installed some tempo last week, some really fast tempo calls, and had some success with a couple of those in the game. So that's something we'll look at continue to do moving forward, and creating some lanes with angles on different plays, and getting creative with the planning of that, but at the same time not doing so many things that are new week to week, and you got a flavor of the week. So you being able to hang your hat on one thing, and you got to hang your hat on it, but it's also what fits that defense the best. We talked about this week as a big zone pressure team, so the plan will have to be a little bit different with that. So just the consistency of those things, and then whether it be the O-line, the tight ends, the running backs, being able to press and hit those things and create those seams and lanes when they occur, when you're not just currently able to just line up and just vertically move somebody, teams that are moving and slanting and angling those off the football. So it's continue to be a work, and every I won't even say every week to week, I mean every hour to hour, continue work in progress to get those things done. Okay.
Rob.
You talked about, giving some of the younger guys a chance to play. I think Tyler Gibson was one of those guys. The running back position is one where I think you're going to lose Hall. Smith has the option for that COVID year. Has there been any thought, with only 4 games left, to maybe getting some reps for the 2 freshmen?
Yeah, and no disrespect when I answer the question, that it's not really giving guys a chance or an opportunity. You got to earn your opportunity. You got to earn your chance to be on the field, and that's what players do. That's what Tyler Gibson did. Tyler Gibson was brought up 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, and began to get game, prep reps. So he earned an opportunity. Same with Zach Pyron. Pyron was brought up about the same time, and continued to learn the game-like reps and earned himself an opportunity. It's not just give guys opportunities just to do it. It's play the best players, and play the best players give you an opportunity to go out and have success in the football game. So, there's no looking to, well, we need to get this guy ready for next year. I mean, my gosh, we got a third of the season left to play right now, and that's what we're focused on. So the best guys that, are ready to help us play are going to play. And, Jamie played 2 weeks ago in the game, and he's been prepping kind of the same time frame that those other 2 guys have. Brought up about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and been prepping for the games, and Jamie's ready to go if Tom needs him in the game.
Okay.
You mentioned attention to detail. I know you had more penalties than you wanted. Were there other areas in particular that you saw that has to be attended to?
I'm sorry.
In terms of attention to detail, besides the penalties, there was probably some drop passes, other things in particular that you saw. I guess tackling probably was another thing, but that you see as particular areas that you want to stress?
Yeah, that is, the attention to detail. And it's easy to see the things. Okay, a drop pass, a missed block, a missed tackle, wrong route, penalties. All right, then you have to really, as the coach, you have to look back and say, okay, why did that happen? Okay, why did we do that? And why did we cut block on something that we hadn't done that in practice? We don't do that in practice. And why did the tackle get missed, or why did the penalty take place that had not happened? So yeah, now you got to go back and reflect and look and say, okay, now why did these things happen? And it was a lot of them. I'd say probably about half of those issues are guys trying to do things more than they're supposed to do in a game, and trying to play. It sounds kind of cliche to say trying to make every play, or trying to, make the big play on every block, or trying to make the play on every tackle. Those things. Those are things that, go back to the practice in the game, and when you get to the game and you get to a game versus a very good opponent that Florida State was, from a coaching and talent standpoint, that you don't have, you've got to be confident and comfortable that you don't have to elevate and do anything that you hadn't done in practice. So that was the way it was addressed with the guys when we showed these things on Sunday, is that you got to be confident in your practice preparation. And there's not one person that can tell you on Friday night or Saturday morning they're not confident in it. Well, then as that game starts to speed up, the great ones, the great competitors in the arena of sports, the game slows down. And we've got to continue to work on that so that the game doesn't continue to speed up, and then they start to do those things. And then a couple of them were a young guy that was getting, young guy or guys that were getting some reps and really working their way onto the field. That, they got to understand that there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And then, you do things the wrong way too many times, it's going to cost you your opportunity to play.
Doug.
Yeah, Coach, can you share an update on Sims, and if he's not available, is Pyron the likely guy to go?
Let me say day to day. No, all of them practiced today.
Okay.
Yeah, so Jeff was out there practicing, dressed out full go, practiced every team period, 7-on-7s, good to go. Same with Zach, good to go. So we're preparing all those guys to be able to go and play in the game, and really no different than any week. And if something, if something is to occur between now and then, one of the two, between one of the two, yeah, the other one would have to play. But right now it's full board that we're full speed ahead with Jeff being the quarterback that's playing.
As a follow-up, how does not having Sims on the field affect the run game?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, the run blitzes, and anytime you have the element of option, and whether it's design quarterback run or the element of option, it takes one person out of the equation. There's one person to read, and that's as old school as football is. That and option is the great equalizer, and that's the beauty of having Jeff in there, is that he is an eliminator of one play when you run the read options or different types of bluff options that we have in the plan. So you've taken one guy totally out of the equation. Well, now you start talking about perimeter and how whether it's him or the running back can affect the perimeter, sideline to sideline, not playing in the phone booth. Well, now you start doing that. Well, now those edge blitzes, those run blitzes start to become wider. Well, now you've eliminated somebody out of the play. The blitzes become wider, right, and more spread out. Well, what does that open up inside? Now it opens up the inside run lanes and open up the holes in there, and that's kind of what I was talking about. You either have to move people horizontally, all right, or you have to move them hip to hip vertically off the football. So, creating those lanes and creating that space with Jeff is obviously a huge advantage for us.
More questions? Aaron?
Last week I asked you about Pyron and Gibson, like the lessons they learned during the week. So with Tyler Gibson, what kind of lessons did he learn this week during, playing in the game reps?
Gosh, I think anybody learns lessons, and every time you play a game. I don't want to speak for him. I know there's lessons that he's learned. There's in lessons. That sounds like I'm talking to my daughter a little bit, but more, it's when mistakes are made, learn how to correct those mistakes, and learn how to play to your strengths, how to play to your weaknesses. But I don't want to answer that for him as far as things that he may have learned.
Coach, this is kind of bigger picture evaluation. When you kind of take a step back and look at where your team kind of is at this point of the season, how do you kind of evaluate where you guys kind of are, where you stand heading into the last third of the season?
Yeah, really, when you're in the season, you're focused on the opponent coming up. That's not really something that ever enters your mind as a coach, because as soon as you get off task at hand, you're going to be scrambled eggs. And that's the only way to stay focused and be able to do the job, is to stay focused on the day that you're on, the opponent that you have the next week. And then once that game's over and that game's put to bed, then you can move on to the next one. There's bigger picture things you worry about and have to handle and deal with. But for us right now, and really for the kids out there, our main focus is on game to game, day to day, week to week.
Time for a couple more, Kelly.
Two things. One, I'll ask my weekly question about the 10th assistant, and then also defense. Tackling was obviously the big issue. It hasn't really been as much of an issue this season. Is that sort of maybe just a fluke thing in your mind, or is it something you guys saw on tape that you got to work on, or kind of how did that look when you went back and looked at it?
So talk about the tackling first. No, it's not a fluke. there were missed tackles. You're not sit here and sugarcoat and say they're not. Just like, and listen, I'm not telling you guys anything I don't tell the kids, and because if you do try to sugarcoat it, it's not going to get fixed. So we have to be technical in it. We have to be detailed in it. We have to show the mistakes of things that have happened in the football game, and we did that. And face it, look, Florida State was a good opponent, and they had good offensive skill. They've done a good job recruiting the last 3 years and bringing in offensive skill that were some matchup problems. And when you go back and look at the tape, there were a lot of one-on-ones in that game. There weren't, crossing routes where the coverage can, convene to it or converge to it and have multiple guys on the ball with the zone coverage. They picked out and did some things to get us in some man-to-man situations, and they won some of the man-to-man battles. Now, we won some of them too. But here's the thing: when they win a man-to-man, win something man-to-man, excuse me, and they get a 20-yard catch, that 20-yard catch can't go now for 78 yards. That's what we addressed to our team. Yeah, the 20-yard, that's technique. That's man-to-man. How can my technique be better to beat this man? What can I do better to defeat this guy? One-on-one, no different than two guys in a boxing ring. But in a boxing ring, there's not another 58 yards to run. So they got those ropes around it to keep people from running out of it. So that's where your teammates have to converge on the football. And we took some bad angles. We had some, we took some bad approaches to the defender or to the ball carrier, and some of those we overran a little too, over anxious getting to the spot, and some of them were the landmark targets on being able to attack the near hip and have that as our landmark that we're going to tackle. So those are things that like all the mistakes that were addressed, shown, addressed, and practice the crap out of them today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day, to eliminate those things. And then as far as the 10th assistant, it's not Vince Lombardi, all right, and Belichick's busy this week. So J.B. Hall, who was our special teams analyst, worked with the defense on special teams analyst, elevate him to the 10th coach, right? He has a very, very good feel and understanding of things we're doing on special teams, and has done a really good job in these last 4 games of, with a little bit of the overhaul of special teams. And that allows Jason now to spend a little bit more time splitting his time now between special teams and defense. So when we looked holistically at everything, that was the biggest thing we thought we could make an immediate impact, was be able to allow Jason to be able to continue to work with both, but then also be in the defensive room. To now JB being elevated, he can he can run meetings, he can meet with players, do things on the field as well. So,
Ken, you want to wrap this up, Coach B?
What happened with Zamari Walton in the second half? He didn't play, I noticed, and Kenyatta was in there.
Yeah, he had a lower. Of course, foot's lower. Had a foot injury.
Right.
So he missed the second half. I say lower foot. I mean, that's like a
his sole of his foot.
Yeah, I guess that would be the heel. Now he has he hurt his foot in the game, and that was one of the reasons on one of the pass plays. He couldn't push off of it. Had to open up the gate, allow the guy to get inside of him, on the outside half of him. And, he was back on the field today and rehabbing, get ready to play on Saturday. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Coach B.
All right, thanks, guys.
I think, as everybody knows, our basketball coaches are going to come down and have a little preseason chat with you guys. I think we're going to start with Coach Fortner. So she should be down momentarily.